Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. In this video, we are going to review two lessons. Two lessons that are really important for second year bac students. And these lessons are strongly related. So are you ready? Let's get started. Now let's have a look at this picture. Who's that man? And what does he do? Well, that man is called Samir. He's 45 years old. And what does he do for a living? What's his job? His job is shoe shine man. He works as a shoe shine man. Now, look, does he look happy? Does he look satisfied? No, not really. He doesn't look happy. Why, in your opinion? It seems like he doesn't like what he's doing. But why? Maybe because it's a difficult job. Maybe because it's a tiring job and it's a bad paying job, so it does not make a lot of money. So now, why do you think Samir chose this job? Why did he want to be a shoe shine man? Well, the answer is as simple as this. He couldn't have a better job for the simple reason that he didn't continue his studies, so he quit school when he was 12 years old. He dropped out of school at an early age. So he always says, if I hadn't dropped out of school, I would have got a better job. A better job like what? Like an engineer, a doctor. So if I hadn't quit school, I would have been a doctor. I would have been an engineer. So what is this? If I hadn't dropped out of school, I would have got a better job. What do we call this sentence? It's called conditional sentence. Conditional sentence. And it's composed of two clauses. The first clause is called the if clause. It contains the condition. And the second clause is the result clause or the main clause because it contains the result. So here, if I hadn't dropped out of school, I would have got a better job. Well, did Samir continue his studies? No. Did he get a better job? No. So this is something that is unreal in the past and something that didn't happen in the past. So what conditional sentence is this? What type of conditional sentence is this? Because we have different types of conditional sentences. We have four types. Conditional type 0, type 1, type 2, and type 3. So which type is this? It's the conditional type 3. Conditional type 3. So now as you can see, the condition here is not met because Samir dropped out of school and he didn't continue his studies. So as a result, the action in the main clause did not happen. So this is the condition in which we use conditional type 3. This is the case in which we can use this type of conditional. So here's the form. How can we use the conditional type 3? For the form, so it's if plus subject plus verb in the past participle. As you can see there, if I hadn't dropped, it's the past perfect simple. And then for the main clause, we have subject plus would or could or might plus have plus verb in the past participle. Would have got. Got is the past participle of the verb get. Now the use. We use conditional type 3 to express unreal situations in the past or regret. So now I have another question for you. How does Samir feel about this? How does he feel? He feels sorry, and the kind of feeling he has is regret. Yeah? Let's move on. Now you might be wondering, is conditional 3 the only way we can use to express regret in English? No, we have other ways we can use. So now, what other expressions can we use to express regret? Well, we have plenty of expressions we can use. Let's see. So first we can use the conditional type 3, as I told you before. We can use the conditional type 3 to express regret. Or the expression I wish plus verb in the past perfect. If only plus verb in the past perfect. I should have, I shouldn't have plus verb in the past participle. I regret having or I regret not having plus verb in the past participle. And I feel sorry plus verb in the past simple. Now let's get back to the situation we discussed earlier. You remember, Samir? Of course you do. Now let's talk about Samir using these different expressions. So as Samir said, if I hadn't dropped out of school, I would have got a better job. Now let's see how we can express the same idea using different expressions. We can also say, I wish I hadn't dropped out of school. If only I hadn't dropped out of school. I shouldn't have dropped out of school. I regret having dropped out of school. I feel sorry I dropped out of school. Now, let's see how we can use these expressions in an opposite form. If I had continued my studies, I wouldn't have been a shoeshine man. I wish I had continued my studies. If only I had continued my studies. I should have continued my studies. I regret not having continued my studies. And I feel sorry I didn't continue my studies. So now let's move to practice. And as the saying goes, practice makes perfect. So here we have, choose the correct phrase to complete the sentences. Here we have a set of conditional sentences, and we have to choose the right answer to complete them. The first one, if I hadn't worked harder, so what shall we say here? Can we say, if I hadn't worked harder, I wouldn't pass the exam? Or, if I hadn't worked harder, I won't pass the exam? Or, if I hadn't worked harder, I wouldn't have passed the exam? So which do you think can fit? And which do you think, which one of these is correct? Well, the right answer is I wouldn't have passed the exam. If I hadn't worked harder, I wouldn't have passed the exam. So why did I choose this one? To keep the same form of the conditional type 3. For the if clause we have the past perfect simple hadn't worked. And for the result clause, when we speak about conditional type 3, we have would plus have plus verb in the past participle. Now, let's have a look at the second situation. If you had asked me, I will help you. If you had asked me, I would have helped you. If you had asked me, I would help you. Which do you think is right? Okay, the correct answer is B. If you had asked me, I would have helped you. Again, had asked, the past perfect in the if clause. A result clause we have would have plus verb in the past participle. Third situation. She would have arrived on time if she takes a taxi, if she took a taxi, or if she had taken a taxi. Which one is correct? Okay, the right answer is C. She would have arrived on time if she had taken a taxi. So result clause would have verb in the past participle. If clause had taken the past perfect simple. The last situation. He wouldn't have had a toothache if he hadn't eaten a lot of sweets, or if he doesn't eat a lot of sweets, or if he didn't eat a lot of sweets. So which one is right? It's A. He wouldn't have had a toothache if he hadn't eaten a lot of sweets. Now let's take a look at the second exercise. Put the verbs in brackets in the correct form. Again, we have conditional sentences here, conditional type 3, of course, and we need to put the verbs in brackets into the right form. First one. They wouldn't have stolen your car if you park it in a safe place. Wouldn't have stolen. So the verb here in the if clause must be in the past perfect simple. So what's the past perfect simple of park? What is it? It's had parked. They wouldn't have stolen your car if you had parked it in a safe place. Second, if the weather had been better yesterday, we go on a picnic. If the weather had been better yesterday. So if clause had been past perfect simple. Now what about the result clause of the conditional type 3? How do we put the verb in the result clause or in the main clause? What do we do? Do we use will? No. Do we use can? No. So what do we use instead? We say we would have gone. If the weather had been better yesterday, we would have gone on a picnic. Number 3. If you get up early, you wouldn't have missed your class. If you get up early, you wouldn't have missed your class. So, how should we put this verb in this if clause? Get. Okay, so what do we use in the if clause for the conditional 3? We use the past perfect simple. So now what's the past perfect simple of get? The answer is had got. If you had got up early, you wouldn't have missed your class. If you had got up early, you wouldn't have missed your class. Now the fourth example. I'd not buy that new laptop if the old one hadn't broken down. Okay, so what is this? Is it if clause or result clause? Okay, it's the main clause, it's the result clause, not the if clause. Okay, so how do we put verbs in main clause in conditional type 3? What do? We say I wouldn't have bought that new laptop if the old one hadn't broken down. And here be careful. We don't say I would haven't bought. No, the negation goes to the modal verb, to the modal auxiliary, which is would. Okay, we never say I would haven't bought. No, we say I wouldn't have bought. Okay, now let's move to the last exercise. Rewrite the following sentences beginning with the words given. Number 1. Sarah had an accident yesterday because she drove fast from work. So, why did she have an accident yesterday? Because she drove fast. Okay, so now I need to rewrite this sentence using the expression shouldn't. To express what? To express regret, as we said earlier. Okay, so what should I say here? Sarah shouldn't have driven fast. Sarah shouldn't have driven fast. And here, as you can notice, we focus only on the cause. Okay? Second situation. I lost my purse and I had to walk all the way home. So I lost my purse, which means I had no money left. So I had no money to get a bus or a taxi or whatever. So I had to walk all the way home. Now I need to express regret about this situation. What shall I say? If only, again, we focus on the cause. If only I hadn't lost my purse. If only I hadn't lost my purse. So take a look here. If only plus subject plus the verb in the past perfect simple, hadn't lost. Okay, and we use the negative form here to keep the meaning intact, because if we don't use the negative form, the meaning will change. We cannot say, if only I had lost my purse. No, that's not what we want to say. Okay, so if only I hadn't lost my purse. Situation 3. The light went out yesterday, so I couldn't watch my favorite show. If. And here we have if, just if, which means the conditional type 3. So, so when we say if, we start with the cause, and the result, it's for the main clause, okay? So, if the light hadn't gone out, I could have watched my favorite show. So the verb here is went in the past simple. But if I'm using the conditional type 3, I have to put the verb in the past perfect simple. So it became hadn't gone. Okay? If the light hadn't gone out, I could have watched my favorite show. Again, couldn't watch. So I took the verb watch and I used the form of the conditional type 3 when it comes to the main clause, which is could, would, or might plus have plus the main verb in the past participle. So, if the light hadn't gone out, I could have watched my favorite show. Now the last example. I ate a lot, so I ate a lot. As a result, as a consequence, I had a stomachache. So here we have I wish, and I need to express regret here. So what should I say? So when we have if only, I wish, and the same like should, we just take the cause, okay? I ate a lot. I had a stomachache. So I wish I hadn't eaten a lot. I wish I hadn't eaten a lot. Again, wish plus subject plus verb in the past perfect simple. Hadn't eaten. Okay, is that right? Well, this is it for our review today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.